Hello and welcome to the Techy Thursday tech updates for the month of May 2025. There aren't too many this month, as I've just pointed out, but the one is from an admin point of view, you as an administrator can actually allow it to keep a history of conversations that are happening if you're using the Gemini app. So you can take action as an admin to turn it on. It's obviously, it says by default the conversation history is on, and it's set to the Google standard 18-month retention policy. So that is sort of they've said when I was at Google in the past. They said when it came to things like Vault and things like that, 18 months was what they considered and their lawyers considered to be GDPR compliant. So, but you can set your own retention. As you can see on the screenshot there, you can set your own retention policy depending on how you want to do it. This next one is to do with encryption. So certain ciphers for your SMTP connections, the triple data encryption standard will no longer be supported, is no longer supported. So after May the 30th, which is already passed, you will need to take action to ensure that, you know, if you've got incoming SMTP connections, that you're using a more modern and secure TLS cipher. And there's a link in this deck so that you can look to see which ciphers are more appropriate to use. This next one, the Gemini app reporting. So this is basically, again, it's to do with Vault for e-discovery tasks. So it will allow you to, as it says there, search for prompts and responses, using filters, using a user, using a date to refine it. And you can do that as well as export those conversations. So if you, for example, get a subject access request or something has gone on that someone wants access to and puts in a legal request in the admin console under your generative AI, you can go into Gemini reporting and pull all of the information out that you actually need it. This next one is about the all the workspace apps are now generally available within the Gemini app. So again, the only admin thing that you need to be made aware of, I mean, obviously it pops up in Gmail now. It'll give you a Gmail summary of a chain email. It'll give you a doc summary, things like that. Very, very useful for sort of like very quickly, particularly if, like me, I'm in constant sort of like ping pong email conversations with Google, and you just need to have an overview of who said what and what needs to be done. It's very, very useful. And again, I've put on the right hand side there what you need to know as an admin. This one is to do with Microsoft Exchange migrations. So this is to do with if you're migrating from Microsoft Exchange, for example, on-prem servers in particular, you need to be aware that the legacy data migration service is no longer available. So that's for things like Exchange 2010, 2013, 2016. If you're still using those, I pity you, but admins can use the new Google Workspace migration for Microsoft Exchange in order to do that. So it's just an update, basically. This one is available in beta, so you need to request this. This isn't in open beta, so you do need to request it if you need this. But if you've got Microsoft Word files that have got our client-side encrypted, you can now, if you're approved for the beta, you can now edit those client-side encrypted files with Google Docs. So it's just basically picking up another sort of integration between Microsoft and Google. And again, I've put on the right-hand side there exactly how you would access that: security access, data control, client-side encryption. This next one basically is just an extension to the Vault. So this now allows you to take up to 1,000 document IDs and basically sort of like, if you know the document ID that is, and then export them. within the domain. So it's just another improvement to the way that you can search within Google Vault. Again, useful if you've got a subject access request or something like that. Again, this is an open beta, so you do not need to apply for this one. It's basically there. So you can basically migrate files from a SharePoint Online to a Google Drive. It's quite simple. Just connect your SharePoint Online, specify the sites you want to copy to and from, and you can copy them across into Google. Again, another sort of interoperability between Microsoft Office and Google. Again, this is something that, as it says there in bold, Microsoft will no longer be supporting beginning October the 1st next year. So what Google are recommending is that you change, if you've got that interoperability between Microsoft Office 365 and Google Calendar, start using the Graph API as soon as possible. That's it. I told you it wasn't going to take too long. Not too many. A lot of the updates from last month were all about, as I mentioned earlier, all about Gemini, different language models, different sort of like end user engagement. But those are the only sort of like specifically admin related things that you need to be aware of from last month. So I'll just stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, James. That was good. I was waiting for the one that I would understand, but it didn't come this month. Dave will find that amusing. Anything in there for anybody comment-wise? Anything that's been affected? I noticed a little bit of migration stuff in there, Dave. I know you're undergoing a migration at the moment. Any effects on you at all, or is it not really relevant to what you've seen there?
No, it's all a bit meh, isn't it, really, this month? And I think the migration stuff, it's really frustrating because the migration tools are almost brilliant, but they're not. There's little things that and the inconsistencies are what. Thankfully, it's not me who's leading on that project. It's one of my team, but it's the inconsistencies that are frustrating. Some tools you can schedule and others you can't. Some you can pause and others you can't. Some work and others don't. Things like that kind of spoil the migration experience in a way, but. And then, as you're aware, Chris, you know we've got that frustration around the migration of licenses and the lack of visibility.
The CEU licenses, Dave. Yeah. That's always a bit of a nightmare because it's a very, very sort of like put it out there and hope for the best. And it's not like you can create a support ticket with Google, and you may or may not get a response about it because it's not part of what they would call their service level agreement effectively. So it's it can be a bit of a nightmare. I've been through it many a time.
But we're getting there.
Yeah.
We'll be right one way or another. Come September, we'll be a lot tidier than we are at the moment.
Yeah, when it comes to the migration tools, though, Dave, have you actually given feedback to Google?
I know Rich has had lots of discussions with Google support in terms of whether he's submitted feedback through the official channels. I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. I think he's kind of running low on patience and goodwill of willing to give his time to help them, seeing as they're not willing to do the same for him. But like I say, maybe we'll review the project once it's complete and draw up a summary of our experiences and share it back to Google then.
Yeah, I would do, because rather than them working on sort of like picking up the pieces from Microsoft, which we saw in that slide deck, but Microsoft aren't supporting this, they aren't supporting that anymore. Maybe they should be actually, more people sort of like gave the feedback to Google to kind of like say, your migrating tools are great, but do you realize this doesn't work, and this doesn't work? And they might actually start working on that. And then maybe at some time in the future, I'll be able to give you an update to say they've actually done it.
Yeah, by which time we'll have gone through all the pain. But I think it's one of those, isn't it, that I guess there's not too many users using those tools. and it doesn't make them any money.
Yeah.
So in terms of from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense for them to put too much dev time into it, does it?
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
Which I get, it's good that there are tools that we can use to do it. It's just, as always, it's more and more the case with Google these days, isn't it? That it's almost perfect, but just not quite.
Yeah.
But still, could be worse. Could be going in the other direction.
I was just going to say that. But
Pete,
I'm not loud. Lee will tell me off.
Pete, you need to go and see your hairdressing department. Get a bit of a trim.
I can't now. She's gone.
Oh, she? Oh dear.
She's left. So yeah, it's just gonna go wild now.
Well, I'm going to stop recording before it gets peachy.